Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this ASUS VivoBook model F512J. Alright, so we're going to be using a JAS1 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. The way I do that, I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern and I remove them. Alright, if this video helps you out, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Leave a comment, and if this video helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, all these screws several of the screws do vary in size. So the one in the back middle here was longer than all of the rest so far. The other ones do seem about the same, but it's always a good idea to keep the same screws to put them back where you found them, just in case there is some slight difference. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead and continue removing all these screws. Alright, the ones up here seem to be shorter than the rest. Okay. Go. So we got all those out. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and remove the bottom cover. Let's see if we can use a suction cup. Okay, no, that's very difficult. So usually what we're gonna do, we'll see if this works. We're gonna open it up slightly, and then I'll use my fingernails to get in the little gap here between the bottom cover and the palm rest. You want to make sure you don't push on the touchpad. But basically, we're going to pull with our fingernails and push with our thumb here. And there you go. Pops out really easily. We're going to work our way over to the other side and just continue. Alright, so there we go. We got all of that out. We're going to slowly, carefully close it down. Rotate it to one side. And then I'm going to slide my fingernail along the side as I kind of pull up. Flip it over. Do the same thing to the other side. Okay, just like that. You can see how easily and quickly it pops up. Then usually we can kind of wiggle this. If it gets stuck, we might have to go to the back and kind of work our way, hold on to the back here and pull up, and there we go. Alright, for some reason this computer's not turning on, like it gets power but nothing happens. So we're just gonna look and see if we see anything strange inside. So far I don't see anything weird. What we're going to do, we're going to disconnect the battery. Let me actually get a screenshot here. So the way this laptop is designed, it's kind of interesting. So the fan, you can see it blows air through here. And what happens is it pulls air this way. And if you look at the design here, it has this plastic kind of like thing sticking out. So it kind of tries to guide the air through this hole over to here to blow air. So it's kind of like trying to do double blowing the intake across the CPU and then across the heat pipes and then back out this way. Trying to get double the cooling effect from the small fan. But it's not a perfect seal here, so it's kind of more pulling the air from everywhere. Okay, actually the way it kind of sits, yeah, it kind of just pulls the air from everywhere. It's not really a seal because there's nothing really there to seal it. But anyways, let's go ahead now and disconnect the battery. So let's zoom in here. The battery connector is here. It's a bit fragile, so you want to be very careful. You just want to push this slightly, just enough to clear the white part of the battery connector, and then you just get underneath and just pull it up. Okay, just like that, and there you go. The battery's disconnected. We're going to carefully open up the laptop, and then we're going to press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power. Alright, this makes it safer to work on, especially since we're probably going to be checking and disconnecting other components. The most important time where you would need to do this is if you're disconnecting the screen or the LCD LVDS connector. Alright, because that if you don't do that, you can fry the backlight circuit and you can damage the screen or the motherboard doing that. Alright, this one, the motherboard or the backlight, sorry, the LVDS LCD cable is here underneath the heatsink. Kind of a bad design because you can't really get to it, but it does look like it's all in place, so we shouldn't have to really do anything with that. We're just going to go ahead and take a quick look at everything else. CPU is soldered to the motherboard. You do have a PCIe NVMe SSD right here. It's only 128 gigs though. One screw, it pops up slightly and then you can pull it out. Basically how the RAM is, except instead of these clips here, it uses this screw here. Alright, and that looks like a JIS 1 screw. We're going to pop out the RAM to take a look, so just pull these two tabs to the side. The stick of RAM pops up at an angle, then you can go ahead and pull it out. This is a 4 gig PC4 3200AA stick of RAM. You can put any PC4 3200AA stick of RAM, so if you want you can get a 16 gig stick and put it there, and then you can have 16 gigs instead of 4. Alright, this looks to be a very minimal basic design. You have the speaker connector here with the wire running across to the other speaker there. You got the wireless antennas running along, and they're both stuck to the bottom of this speaker actually, so they wrap around underneath this speaker. Pretty interesting. Alright, keyboard backlight cable is right there. If you want to remove these kinds of cables, there's a little flip latch that you flip it up and then you can pull the cables out easily. Alright. I'm not going to pull these things out, so I'm not too sure where these cables are going. Well, actually, let's go ahead and pull some of it out, because since it's not working right, might as well. Alright, so we're going to remove those two screws. I don't know if that's enough to pull this whole thing out. We might have to remove that as well. Yep. Okay, so there's 3 screws here, and there's this tape here. This little empty space with the foam pads looks like it should be able to hold a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive, this piece, and then there's a little spot here which is probably for the SATA hard drive connector. So this has that latch that you can flip up and then slide that connector in, but you'd probably have to find some kind of adapter for it, because I don't think, yeah, see, the drive won't fit. You'd have to remove this foam stuff, and then you need to find some adapter to fit there. Anyways, we got the screws out here, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way a little bit. And then the battery, it looks like there's one more screw holding it. We're going to take that screw out as well, but you do want to be careful, okay? There are all these antenna stuff here, so I don't know about lifting everything out, but let's see here. Okay, so that's held in with clips, so it's going to have to lift up from this side. So actually, let's go ahead and, oops, I have too many screws all over here. I don't know if I'll be able to show this. We'll see, I'll try. Okay, so maybe I'll zoom out, and then you're gonna have to just figure it out, because I can't slide the computer back that far. Basically, you got the speaker here. I'm gonna wiggle the wings of this connector, and then it pops out. We're gonna carefully lift this and kind of unthread it from here. And then let's move this out of the way. We got the wireless antennas. Black one goes to the black and the white one goes to the white. Okay, the way you remove that, you go from the tail and you just pull straight up, just like that. Usually I don't like to remove these unless I have to, because sometimes the soldering to these connectors on the wireless card are bad and it can rip out. It's not very common, but sometimes it's like that. I've had that happen at least once or twice on the thousands of computers I worked on. Again, it's not very common, but there is some risk, and usually I don't like taking stuff out unless I need to. This one, because it's completely dead, we might as well. Alright, let's go ahead and lift this up, and make sure to unthread the speaker cable from here. And we're just going to be careful. There's little clips here that you kind of have to slide the battery over to the left a little to lift it out. And there we go. We got the whole speaker battery assembly out, and you can actually see how the wireless antennas connect underneath there. Okay. And also, if you're wondering, the battery model, if you need to replace yours, let me see, where's that information here? Here we go. The model is right there. It's really blurry, but basically C21N1818-1. Alright, it's really hard to read. Hopefully you guys can see that. Alright, we're going to set that aside, the speaker and the battery. And here you can see the touchpad actually uses 2 connectors. Interesting. I thought one was going to another thing. Then you got the keyboard connector here. Again, the wireless card, if for some reason you need that, you can look at it. I mean, if you can't get to it to open it up and check your own, then you might want to be careful with this kind of repair. But anyways, everything else seems to be mostly soldered to the board. You do have this little two USB ports and the 2 indicator lights. board there that's separate, and then you got the fan connector here and a few screws holding the fan in place, and not really much else to look at here. So if that, for some reason, if it's still not working, then I think it's dead. One thing I'll try is sometimes wiping the connector. You want to make sure you're grounded so you don't get like static into it. Some people say like the oils or whatever from my hand are gonna destroy the computer. It's not. By the time the oils can eat through those little gold pins or whatever you want to call it, yeah, the computer's going to be like more than 20 years old. So nobody's using this kind of computer for 20 years or longer, and it's still going to last longer than 20 years. That's just a number I just spat out of my rear end. Anyways, let's go ahead and put this thing back together. I'm going to see maybe if I have another stick of RAM, I can try testing that as well, because sometimes the RAM actually is bad. And that sometimes is enough to prevent the computer from booting. A lot of the new ones, which sucks, is they solder the RAM to the motherboard. So if the RAM is bad, your computer's pretty much not repairable at all. Anyways, we're going to put the battery back in, have it hook back over those two things. Okay, drop this back down into place. I'm going to make sure this wire gets wrapped back over there. Okay, get back in there. And then we're going to get the speaker back into place as well. Make sure this wire gets in there as well. I know it's kind of far for you guys to see, but you should be able to figure this part out. Alright, this wire kind of came out. Make sure it goes back into place. Get that all back into place. Get this connector back lined up. Make sure it goes into the connector straight, not crooked. Pinch that in. Good. Alright. Then we got this, that was all twisted up. Okay, we got the wireless antennas. Let's kind of get them all routed back into the right spots. Okay, get back in there. Okay. Alright, and then we'll get these back in. The way you get the wireless antennas back in, okay, what I do is I kind of like just move it over and then kind of move it around, and then when it hooks on, you can see it's kind of stuck on there. That's how you know it's lined up, and then just push it down. Okay, there you go. Same thing with the other one. Okay, it's hooked on, and then push it down, and there we go. Alright, then we just get this stuff back in place. Alright, I don't think I took much anything else out. We got the battery connector. Push that back in, pull that back down. Alright, we'll line this back up. Make sure you don't get this metal bar all over those circuits. Alright, let's zoom out. And we'll get all these screws back in. Okay, I'm going to loosely fit it first to make sure everything lines up. Put the second one over here. Good. And I'm just loosely fitting these. And the last one, we'll tighten this down all the way. Okay, now that that's tightened, we'll go to this one, and then we'll go and tighten this one. Right, we do have one more screw for the battery that we do need to put back, so let's go ahead and get that, and we'll tighten that in place. Alright, let's see if this thing even boots up or shows anything on the screen, because there's no point putting the bottom cover on if right away if nothing is going. So I'll push the power button. And I just saw the screen flash, but I don't know if it's actually going to do anything. Okay, the main battery, I believe, also acts as the CMOS or BIOS battery for this model. So keep that in mind, because that means the BIOS is resetting. So sometimes the computer takes a while to start back up the first time you turn it on, because it's resetting the BIOS and setting everything up. But other than that, I'm not too sure. But you can see this light is on. Okay, I did see the screen flash for a second, but if it's not going to restart itself and turn itself on, then we might have a fried motherboard. Sometimes you can kind of see something on these little chips or these little circuits that look off or burnt. Other times you can't, and you kind of just have to know how the circuits work, but I don't know how that, I'm not that good with the circuitry part, so I'm not sure how to diagnose that. So I'm just looking closely at this stuff to see if I see anything weird. And I don't know. To me, everything kind of looks okay. I can't tell. Alright, and yeah, nothing is coming up. Caps lock light isn't working. Keyboard backlight isn't working. Function, nope, nothing. So yeah, I think this computer is toast. I'm gonna try, let me see if I have some RAM here. Is this DDR4? I think this is DDR3. Yeah, that's DDR3 RAM. I don't know what I did. Oh, here I have one stick of DDR4. So let me try with this 16 gig stick of DDR4 RAM. See if it powers up. If we're lucky, it might, and that'll be kind of cool. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm gonna hold the power button down to turn this thing back off. Make sure this light on the side turns off. There you go. And the screen actually went off. Okay, we're gonna pop this stick of RAM out, and let's try another one. Okay, we'll get this guy in and test our luck. Let's go ahead and open this up and power it on. Watch the screen. The screen just goes completely black. So the LCD is getting power, but nothing is coming on at all. So I think this thing is completely toast. It's the motherboard's likely fried. Nothing's coming on. Caps lock doesn't respond. Yeah. So usually that's a motherboard failure. You can see the fan is spinning because this is getting hotter, so it's responding. Actually, it's not even hot enough that the fan should be spinning. It's not. The CPU is nowhere near hot enough for the fan to be spinning. So it's just acting up for no reason. One other thing we can try is pulling the SSD out and see if anything happens. So we'll turn this back off. Make sure this light turns off. The screen shut off. Okay. So I'm going to put back their stick of RAM because this one didn't work. So no point leaving it in there. Okay. That. This. Okay, and let's try this. We'll try popping this out. Actually, let's see what happens if we don't have the SSD and we don't have the RAM. I don't think this one has built-in RAM. I think it only uses that one stick because it only has 128 gigs, so why would they put more than 4 gigs of RAM, right? Anyways, let's power it up and see if anything happens. The screen goes black. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's completely toast. Nothing at all is happening here. Nothing at all. Alright, we're going to hold the power button, shut it off again. We'll try putting their RAM back in, but nothing else. No SSD. And let's see what happened. The same thing, no luck. Alright, so for now that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. At least hopefully you can upgrade your RAM or the SSD. But this computer seems to be toast. So yeah, fan spinning, nothing else is happening. And pretty sure it's dead. Alright, so we're just going to put the stuff back in. Okay, and put the cover back on. And that's pretty much it. Again, hopefully it helped. If it did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. We're just going to push all of this back down. Okay, it helps to kind of push it in towards the middle as you're pressing down. to get those clips back in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get these screws back in, and pretty much I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, let's get this all back into place. Again, don't forget the longest screw is back here. Okay. And that's pretty much it. All these screws back in. Alright, last few. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Alright, let's drop this. Bye.